All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. I believe this is now episode 13. We're going to be doing our kind of wide base look at everything all around in the NFL, the NHL, and the MLB. NFL in that like lowly time where there's nothing really going on. NHL, you got the playoffs, and MLB. We're just kind of looking at what our teams are doing right now. Jacob, you want to tell them? I'm Tristan here along with Jacob. Jacob, do you want to tell them what we're going to be like getting into with the meat and potatoes for the rest of the
So
podcast?
the NFL, we're going to be getting into a little bit about Zach Ertz, possible trade destinations for Julio Jones, and also maybe Aaron Rodgers a little bit. With the NHL, I think we're going to talk about the series that have been going on, especially how last night the Maple Leafs completed the choke and have lost that series, and talk about possible things they could do and how it could involve the Caps, and also with the MLB, talk about how the Phillies and Nats are just kind of spinning their wheels and kind of going into a downslide at this point in the season. So let's get into it.
Yeah, so the first thing I wanted to say about in the NFL was I saw a report earlier that like clearly Zach Ertz hasn't been traded, and this has been a long ongoing thing. But I saw something today that they said that they're not giving up Zach Ertz for nothing. Like they want an actual legitimate trade option, and so that then diminishes the possibility of him getting released to essentially zero. Because if you're not going to trade him if you're saying you're not going to trade him unless you get an actual good price for him, then odds are is you're not going to release him when you wouldn't get anything in return for him. And I don't.
I'm not sure what the Eagles are expecting at this point. He's getting older. He's not exactly on a desirable contract. It's not like that's like a super like great pick to take. I believe his contract, he's $12 million for the season, but the Eagles can save like 8.5 if they cut Ertz after as of today, actually. So it's not like they're gonna get anything above maybe a fourth or third at this point. So I understand they're trying to get something, but I think it's going to
I
be
think
very
they.
difficult for them to get what they want.
Yeah, I think they might have hurt themselves. So I mean, I I wouldn't be against seeing Zach Ertz in an Eagles uniform again. But I mean, like you said, he's not on a desirable contract, and he's also not coming off a very good year. I mean, he was injured for most of it. And other than that, Dallas Goedert kind of took the reins from him. So uh, that kind of killed his rep for this season. Another thing I saw, and if you guys have heard before, or if I've told my family this, the one thing I'm scared about for the upcoming season is our first round draft pick. And stats wise, I think he can ball out. And I'm just worried about his size. But I saw a report earlier from Joe Thomas, who is going to be a Hall of Fame left tackle, played for the Browns. And so Joe Thomas has his upside as being the best rookie that isn't a quarterback, having the biggest impact in the NFL as a rookie that isn't going to be a quarterback. And I think like that just speaks out to say how good he possibly could be.
It's possible, but you have to use him correctly. Like any routes that are sent over the middle, he should not be running. Plain and simple. He should run routes that are more towards the out of bounds lines. Not like routes that you're gonna have to catch it and go down to avoid getting hit by a linebacker or something like that. You're really gonna have to protect him, and he's gonna have to use his strengths. But it is possible that that could happen. I think you could say that about any of the wide receivers that were taken in the top 15. So
I also saw
definitely not out of the question.
I also saw another report from another big reporter. I don't remember who it was, saying that they think Devonta Smith is going to win Rookie of the Year, and I would love to see that. but
I'd love to
I
see.
don't know about that.
I don't think it's going to happen with your quarterback play. Yes,
Uh,
like
the-
Jalen Hurts, I think can be decent, but he's not like lights out when throwing the ball.
we also haven't seen him in like coming off of a good off season. Like last season, he didn't get an off season. He came out and I think he played semi well for being a rookie, not having a training camp, and just using what he had during the season. So I mean, this season when he has an off season, maybe he could make something out of nothing. And he's already come out and said everyone's fighting for their paycheck, and that's not going to stop me. So I mean, he knows that he's fighting for a job here, and he's going to keep on pushing for it.
But Dwayne Haskins said he was fighting for a job, that he's going to work the absolute hardest that he can. Yes, like you can say that all as just a show, but it really can
Doesn't
all
matter until you play.
Yeah, it really does not matter till you play. Like if teams just start running the contain or the linebacker spy around them, and he's really forced to throw the ball. You have young receivers, you have an aging offensive line, and you have a young quarterback, which isn't always a recipe for like a lot of success. But, yeah, but it definitely should be interesting. I think the Eagles are, in terms of the offense, they're a question mark at this point.
There's only 100 days until kickoff, where the Buccaneers and the Cowboys start off the season. So I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait for football.
Yeah, I can't wait for football. But do we really have to open with the freaking Cowboys again? They're not good.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why the Cowboys are opening it. It's usually a Super Bowl rematch. I don't know why they didn't do that again this year.
Because they're America's team. Yada yada yada.
And then we came out with the news last week when it came out that Julio wants out of Atlanta, and he's not going to get. We're recording this on Tuesday, so he's not going to get traded tonight, because if they one, it's already pretty late. Two, if they wait until tomorrow, the team will save $15 million in cap space. So that's a night and day difference. So if they wait a little bit, they're just gonna hold on to their offer and then decide to trade for him. But the teams looking at him are the Seahawks, the Titans, and the Ravens. And then there is a team offering a first rounder, which I think is absurd.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the smartest thing to do. And I'm looking at this article from CBS, and like these are like the main possible destinations: the Ravens, the 49ers, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Titans, and the Eagles. So I'm gonna
I don't think he's going to the Eagles.
Yeah, that one I'm not sure where in the world that's coming from. But
yeah, he's not going to the Eagles. If the Eagles, the Eagles do need a veteran wide receiver, but they're not going to go for Julio. One, he's too expensive, and two, he's already 32. He's not coming.
I think the Ravens at this point, I'm not sure why they're even in contention, because if you think about it, they need to extend Lamar Jackson, they need to extend Mark Andrews. They're not really into paying wide receivers a lot of money like down the line.
They haven't really had a standout wide receiver. Anquan Bolden is their biggest wide receiver that I can think of in the past couple of years.
Yeah, but they're gonna, like, if they get Julio, they're gonna be in some cap space in terms of re-signing players, and I'm not sure Mark Andrews or Lamar Jackson are really gonna want to take a pay cut. The 49ers, I'm not sure Julio would want to go to the 49ers, mainly because the quarterback, because that really isn't a guarantee. Yes, they have a good offense. It's young. They have a defense who in theory should be good with all the recovering players, but I don't know what it is about the 49ers. Yes, I understand the Kyle Shanahan thing, but there's still a big question mark at the quarterback position for me. And Julio has said he does want to win, and Jimmy Garoppolo or a guy who's played at most 16 games coming out of college, I'm not sure about that.
I also don't think that the 49ers offense is built for Julio. I mean, the 49ers offense run the ball a ton because Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have the best arm.
They're a
And
West
I
Coast,
mean, you
they're
can
a West Coast team. And
yeah,
West
Coast. There's different types of West Coast. Like the Eagles are also a West Coast offense, but they're a more pass-driven West Coast, whereas the 49ers are more run-driven West Coast. So it all depends on who the coach is and how they run their offense.
Yeah, the Patriots, I don't even know why they're in this at this point. All their defense is aging, and they really can't afford to pay them because they're really expensive, and I don't think they want to stay. And plus, their offense, look at what it did last year. That was terrible.
But
the Chargers,
Julio, hang on, Julio could be a difference maker in the Patriots offense because you can't name, I guarantee you, aside from Julian Edelman, you can't name a household receiver that they've had.
Deion Branch
or
Randy Moss. Randy Moss.
Those are years ago. Like they've been working with
Aaron Hernandez,
awful receivers people who go elsewhere and they don't succeed.
Yeah.
Like Chris Hogan was supposed to be good and then he went to Carolina and he's done nothing.
Oh, he's terrible. But I still think with the Patriots, Julio Jones really isn't going to make that much of a difference because I'm not sure they have a line anymore. Their defense is it's aging. Like the Patriots, I don't think they're Julio Jones away from being a playoff contender anymore. The Chargers, I think this could possibly be a good fit. The Chargers have a lot of cap space, and they don't really have to shell out a lot of money for a few years because a lot of their good rookies are still on the first few years of the rookie deals. But I think this could possibly be a good fit. The Chargers adding Julio Jones.
Also, I mean, their receivers aren't anything spectacular. They have Keenan Allen, who's actually, I think Keenan Allen might be one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league.
He's a really great possession guy.
Yeah, he's a really good route runner. He's a good receiver. But I mean, they have Mike Williams, who isn't all that great. Like they don't really have a big number two guy. So I mean, if you have Julio and Keenan Allen as a 1-2 punch, that could be dangerous.
And young Justin Herbert, we know he likes to throw the ball deep.
Cannon.
Yeah,
he has a cannon.
And another option I can see being very serious is the Titans.
Yeah.
I think they have a decent enough defense, and their offensive line it looks amazing what it's been able to do for Derrick Henry, 2,000 yards rushing. And if you're able to add
2 years straight.
Yeah. If you're able to add somebody like Julio Jones alongside AJ Brown, that can be a very potent offense that has severe threats in all areas of their offense. So I think that could possibly turn them into a very dangerous team.
What do you think about the Seahawks?
The Seahawks I really do not know about.
I don't know if they really have the money for that, but I mean, him and their offense,
considering
him and their offense would be kind of good.
But if you start to think about it, they're gonna have to pay DK Metcalf in the future.
I don't think it'd be much of a deal. Like, if you think about it, I don't think Julio is going to be getting a long-term extension after he gets traded.
He'll
get a 1, maybe a 2 year.
I think he's a rental. They just paid Russell Wilson like a year or two ago, so it's possible, but I just can't see it.
They were another team that was big in on possibly getting him. But him with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, that's a dangerous trio.
That'd be nasty, but they would still find a way to underperform in the playoffs.
Poor Russell Wilson.
Remember when for like a few weeks it was it was rumored that he wanted to leave?
Yeah. I don't know whatever happened to that.
What happened to that?
It wasn't. He didn't want to leave. It was the Seahawks wanted to trade him, but he has a no trade clause, and he said that he didn't want to leave. So he holds the cards with a trade.
Yeah.
The Seahawks can shop him all they want, but until he says that he wants to be traded, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the last one that's on this list of the Eagles, no.
Yeah, there's no way that's gonna happen. We don't have the cap space, nor like.
And you would have to give up like maybe a first or second, and it's not like you need that first or second. You're not one away from being a serious contender. You're like maybe Jones away from being 8-8 or 8-9.
There's a lot that has to be shown, and I don't think adding Julio Jones will help anything because I think we have a pretty solid wide receiver group. They do need a veteran, in my opinion, because their seasoned veteran, air quotes there, their seasoned veteran is Greg Ward, who hasn't signed a serious extension. He's been on 1-year prove-it deals his entire career, and he's only in his 5th season. He hasn't gotten a serious actual extension. So, I mean, they need a veteran, but Julio Jones is not the guy. That's too expensive.
Not a $15 million veteran. That's way too much.
I would love to see. I mean, as much as I love Julio and as much as I would love to see him in an Eagles jersey, there's just no way.
I'm not even sure why that's on there. Like, yeah, you maybe think in theory they need receivers, but their cap isn't in good shape. And 2, I think they're kind of hedging their bets on this young group.
Yeah, I think we have a pretty solid young group because, I mean, if Travis Fulgham plays like he did in that 4 stretch last season continuously, he's an outside receiver. You got Devonta Smith, who's an outside receiver, and then Jalen Reagor can play all over the field. So, I mean, you got a lot of young talent there that we just need to make work all together.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, where do that whole situation I find quite confusing because I've seen articles that's saying, oh, the Packers are going to call his bluff. But I don't think it's a bluff. I genuinely think Aaron Rodgers is done with that team, but I have no clue where he might go because it's clear. I think he wants to win another Super Bowl to kind of cement his legacy, but I don't know.
I don't think we'll hear anything from that for a while. I mean, he was up in Hawaii with his fiance, so I mean,
I think the next time we'll hear about it is when preseason starts to roll around, maybe around then.
Yeah, because he can take whatever time he wants off. He's cemented himself as a decent player who can get away with not going to voluntary, which is another thing I hate is everyone's getting mad over him, like not going to voluntary OTAs. The key word there is voluntary. A lot of players are choosing not to because of COVID. Like that's.
Yeah, but
I don't get what the big fuss about that is.
One thing that the situation could prove is this hurting his image in the terms of teams? Because if you're looking at it, are you going to want Aaron Rodgers, who's kind of seeming like a problem to the franchise at this point and is starting to look like a possible prima donna or trouble child? Could this possibly hurt any drafts or trade stock he might have with some teams?
Yeah, because people aren't going to want a troublemaker. Like they want to win and they don't want to have to worry about him possibly getting in the way of that and being like having issues in the locker room. I mean, look what happened to Antonio Brown. He went through 3 teams in a matter of seconds because he didn't want to play the game.
Yeah, but one thing about I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't think overall, I don't think we're going to get this for a while. Like you said, I think Aaron Rodgers is hurting his draft stock, or not his draft stock. Wow, his trade stock. But I could honestly see him sticking with the Packers. Because I think if it comes down to it, he'll hold out for a little bit, and then I think he'll go back to the Packers. I think he wants to play football, but I think he wants out of Green Bay just because the fact that they keep on going somewhere but not far enough, and he thinks that he could take some other team far enough. But I don't think the Packers are on the hunt to be like, okay, let's get rid of our Hall of Fame quarterback.
I just remember what I was going to say. I think one reason a lot of teams are kind of like backing away from Aaron Rodgers. I don't think a lot of franchises are willing to give up the control that Aaron Rodgers wants. If you look at the reason why this relationship is souring is because the coaches and the scouting staff really didn't talk to him when drafting Jordan Love, or I think he wants a lot of control when it comes to the front office and when it comes to the decisions on who gets who they bring in. And I just don't think
he wants to know who he's playing with.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of franchises are going to be willing to give that up for him.
Yeah. Is that all you have on the NFL?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much covering everything. There's a lot of slow stuff. I mean, right now they're in OTAs.
Yeah, it's training camp. There's not much you can talk about.
Yeah, until August, until preseason, when things will actually start to heat up a little bit. Competition will start. So one thing that's good about the Eagles is everything is going to be competitive with the new coaching staff, because no one has any secure spots, and the coaching staff is trying to learn something about everybody.
Yeah, you could have Joe Flacco as your quarterback. Imagine that.
Joe Flacco will not be there. You can mark my words right now. Quote me right now. Joe Flacco will not be starting day one.
Well, yeah, anybody with half a brain would realize you shouldn't start Joe Flacco.
Well, I don't know. You seem pretty excited that Joe Flacco could be starting, but he's not going to.
It's called sarcasm. It's called sarcasm.
I mean, I think you would be excited if Joe Flacco, just like I'm excited that exactly. Like I'm excited that the Cowboys signed Dak, because I think he's a mediocre quarterback. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think they're going to go anywhere with him anytime soon. So yeah, I'm happy. Like just like you'd be happy with Joe Flacco as the quarterback.
They don't have the surrounding cast. That's the Cowboys' problem. I think Dak has shown he could really turn in some good games, but they don't have the surrounding cast.
But yeah, you just want to see the Eagles lose. I get that. I also want to see Washington lose. Just like, yeah, we'll move on to the NHL. We'll save that banter for once we start getting closer to the season and seeing the actual competition. So the playoffs, last week we're still in round one, and this week today starts.
We're in the middle between round 1 and 2, actually.
Yeah. Well, no, round one just finished up yesterday. So all the round 2 matchups are ready. So now in the Pacific, well, the West, we have the Avalanche playing the Golden Knights, and they've already played a game, and the Avalanche won 7-1. You said that game was absurd.
They shellacked.
I think, yeah, I think this is where the Golden Knights start to see their downfall, because I think the Knights are good, but I still don't think they're good enough to beat the Avalanche.
And I don't think they're a good enough team to win the cup.
The Avalanche or the Golden Knights?
The Golden Knights. I just think they lack the star power. But I just don't know what happened to them in that game.
I don't think they can even get to the cup. Yeah, I don't even think
they
they'll
got
be able to get to the cup.
They won't. No, but the thing about the Golden Knights, like if you look at all the regular season matchups they had with the Avs, they're all fairly close games. A lot of them were within 1 or 2 goals, but 7-1 out of the gate, like first game, boom. I mean, that could possibly be a tone setter for the rest of the series, to come out like that, not even have it be a close game, just to be knocked out like that.
Yeah, we'll see how that one. I'm excited to watch that one. That one's going to be a good series, I think, overall. I still think the Avalanche will pull it out in the end.
I do too.
Let's see. We both had we both got both of those series right. I have both of our brackets up here. We both got both of those series right. Vegas was the 1 seed at the point that we made our brackets, so we still both had them winning. So the Avalanche played the Blues as opposed to the Golden Knights, and the Avalanche still won. Avalanche had the clean sweep on the Blues, and the Golden Knights beat Minnesota. Although Minnesota made it a series with Vegas, and maybe that's where Vegas is losing the game, is the fact that they had to go to a 7-game series when they could have finished it in 5.
Yeah, maybe that's starting to weigh in their psyche and them. Like physically, they're kind of drained. Like the Avalanche, quick 4 and done. Their confidence is high, and the Golden Knights are thinking this team who is significantly worse than us. This took us to 7 games. Are we as good as we think we are? Definitely interesting to ponder.
And they've been playing a lot more than the Avalanche. The Avalanche have been on a break for about a week, so they're nice and fresh. Well, they got fresh legs,
and they're a fast team. It's not like they're a slow down, methodical team. They're fast.
Yeah, Nathan McKinnon has got wheels too.
And shout out to Phil Grubauer, former Capital, top 3.
He's Vezina finalist.
I'm happy to see him work out because I liked Gruby, but it just didn't make sense for us to keep him at the time.
All right, so let's go on over to the North matchup. And we were both excited for this just to be able to laugh at it. And the fact that the Leafs blew a 3-1 series lead.
So terrible.
But before we get into this, I want to go. So you had the Leafs winning. And I thought I had the Leafs winning too. But looking back at it, I had the Canadiens winning. And so the Canadiens made it an interesting series. And I just didn't see how Toronto was. I don't know how Toronto blew that 3-1 series lead. I mean, they have so much offensive star power, but like I said, Carey Price can steal you a series.
Stole them a series, yeah.
He stole their whole team, in my opinion. Like, that is depressing.
Yeah, him and Corey Perry just beat the heart out of them.
What did I say? I mean, you can't count against the Canadiens. They're a scrappy team.
And you can't account against the Leafs for choking. Like, how does that happen? Everybody thought they were different this year. Like, how?
I think the fact that they had the weekend, it was the weekend, like, the Canadian teams aren't anything to be in awe about. So, I mean, you had a weekend division up there, just like the Pacific. I think those are going to be the most 2 interesting series or teams to come out into the top 4. Those are going to be the most 2 interesting teams to see what happens to them, because the Pacific and the North are significantly worse than the East and the Central. So we'll see how they fare against the tougher Eastern Conference than the Western Conference. So we'll see what happens there. And then the Jets swept the Oilers, which that was a surprise. So we now have the Canadiens and the Jets. Yeah, I did not see that happening. We have the Canadiens and the Jets starting tomorrow night, Wednesday at 7:30, which I'm interested to see how that one could go, because so your bracket, you had the Oilers beating the Jets, and I feel stupid because I had the Jets beating the Oilers, and you talked me into switching over to the Oilers, and so I feel stupid. And if I would have picked the Jets, my bracket would still be perfect right now. Yours is broken completely.
Yeah, mine. Just throw that away, put in the paper shredder. But
you got 3 picks right in the entire bracket to move on past round 1. I only had 1 wrong.
I just didn't see anything from the Jets, especially towards the latter half of the season, that said they would be able to sweep.
And you really
after they traded Patrick Laine, I thought they were going to be done. But oh my god, like how? This playoffs is throwing.
All right, so I'm assuming you still have the Avalanche. You had the Avalanche winning in the West. Do you still have them winning the West, going on to the Final Four? All right, so now since you have neither team in the North, who do you think will win, Canadiens or the Jets?
The Jets. I think the Jets are going to win.
I think the Jets will pull this off. I think the Canadians got their magic out of them, and I do not see them going on this Cinderella run. So I think that the Jets will pull this one out easily. We'll go into the Central, and then we'll go to the East last because that's where our teams are from. The Central, this was another one where you got one pick right in the Central. You had the Carolines who beat the Preds. They didn't sweep them, like you said, but it was still a 4-2 series. The Preds made it interesting towards the end, but Caroline pulled it out in the end, which we both thought would happen. And now they play Tampa who beat Florida in the first round, who I picked. So I had Carolina and Tampa moving on, and you had Carolina and Florida moving on. So what do you think about this series since you have Carolina winning the cup? Do you still have that going down?
I don't know. I have a really bad feeling about that. If I'm being quite honest, I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I have a feeling they're going to lose this series. I don't know
based
why.
on your first round picks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just after that series with the Predators, where I think they were significantly better than the Predators were still able to make it interesting. And with how well Stamkos and Kucherov and Hedman have been able to come back into the team, they're starting to look really dangerous again.
I think Tampa will pull a typical Tampa, and I don't think that they'll be able to beat I still think the Hurricanes will win. Tampa leads the series 1-0 currently, and they're playing right now, and Tampa's up 1-0. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where that game goes. If they go down 2-0, then maybe I'll start leaning towards Tampa. Right now, I still have Carolina winning. And then the East, another 2 good wins for me. So in the first round, so I had the Islanders beating the Penguins, which they did, and I had Boston beating the Capitals, and they're now tied 1-1 in their series.
Yeah,
this is another one where
series. I think the Bruins are the better team. I just think that the Islanders are, like I've said many times, they're just a really scrappy team that can stay in there. But oh my, how bad my bracket has gone! Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised. Like, my picks kind of turned out well here.
I don't know the exact opposite.
I have Boston winning this series still. They're tied 1-1. I just think that the Boston's perfection line is just a little bit more than the Islanders. The Islanders have a nice even team all around, and so I don't think that'll be enough to cover Boston all around. So I think Boston will win this. They're tied 1-1 in the series. I think overall the most interesting series will probably be the Avalanche and the Golden Knights.
Yeah, that is definitely the most interesting series. Aren't record-wise they're like the 2 best teams in the NHL?
Yeah, they were the 2 best teams in the NHL record-wise.
And considering the first game was 7-1, like, I think anything could happen at that point. So it definitely could be interesting. But have you heard all this talk? We're going back to the Leafs now that they kind of want to blow up some of their team. You've heard a lot of talk about them wanting to trade Mitch Marner.
They need to fire their GM is what they need to do.
Yeah.
They haven't won a playoff series since 2004.
I was 2.
Yeah, we were 2 at that point. So just to give you a little bit of insight. So yeah, that just was a monumental breakdown overall. You gotta love seeing all the Leafs fans burning their jerseys, as sports fans do for some reason. That makes no sense to me, but here we are.
Just get away.
Or sell it. Make some money off of it.
I'm gonna buy it.
So in your final 4, you have the Avalanche, the Jets, the Lightning, or the Hurricanes?
Lightning.
And then you have the Islanders or Boston. Islanders, right?
Boston.
I
don't want them to, but I think Boston is going to beat them. I
have Boston.
I really don't.
I still have Carolina going down. Boston, Carolina, the Avalanche, and the Jets. So I mean that's about it. We'll keep talking about the playoffs a little bit more as it goes down. I can't wait for the Stanley Cup. That's what I'm really interested in.
I want the Jets or Abs to win it. I don't want anybody I don't want the Lightning or the Bruins to win it.
I've always kind of had like a little soft spot for the Lightning. I don't know why, but like my entire life, I've
chance St. Louis was on them.
I've never had like anything against the Lightning. At the same time, I don't have a reason to like them, but I haven't had anything against the Lightning, and I've always been happy if they win a couple games here or there.
I just don't want to see them win back to back.
Yeah, I don't like seeing back to back wins unless it's the Flyers, which they haven't done since the 70s. They haven't even won since the 70s. So, which I was not even. Yeah.
You're like -50.
My dad was 2 when the Flyers won the Cup.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, he was 1 and 2 when the Flyers won the Cup back to back. So let's move on to the MLB, and this is another rough, touchy subject because this is another place where both of our teams are awful. And the one thing that I want to say is the fact that the Phillies have significantly dropped off. Their offense is suffering terribly.
I mean, you got Bryce Harper,
who is currently on the injured list and isn't playing. So yeah, that doesn't help us. And our speedster Roman Quinn just tore his Achilles, so he needs surgery and he'll be out for about a year. So I mean, our offense is just really taking a.
Pitching is inconsistent.
Well, it's Philadelphia for you. Yeah, and Aaron Nola really hasn't stuck out lately.
I thought he could be like a Cy Young candidate this year.
He's been above average at best. He's pitching right now. They're playing the Reds currently. Where is pitching? There it is. Wait, nope, that's fielding. Oh, that's why I'm on the Reds, not the Phillies. 4.1 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 1 strikeout. So yeah, like he's not doing amazing. He has a home run off of him. He's up to almost a 4 ERA at this point, and like he's just really suffering through the season.
Yeah, but on the Nats,
Zach Wheeler is making more of a case to be the ace than Aaron Nola. The Nats are up 6-1 currently over the Braves.
Woohoo!
But like overall, this division overall has taken a turn for the worst. Oh, other big news in the MLB. Something that could really hurt Atlanta in the long run. Marcell Ozuna got charged for battery. Yeah, he got charged for battery and assault. So I mean, that's because he's a big bat for him, and that could really hurt him.
Yeah, I could see them like Miami going above them if like he's going to be out for the rest of the season. I think that's almost guaranteed at this point.
Things have taken a turn for the worse in the NL East. They're really starting to play.
Left in his return, like was looking uncomfortable left.
There is a single team above 500 in the NL East, and it's the Mets.
And like even the Mets, like you could say, like Lindor's not
They're
playing
26
really
and
good.
20.
Yeah, but Lindor's playing pretty bad.
But I mean, they're showing that they don't really need Francisco Lindor to do much. I mean, they're 26 and 20. They have a +6 point differential. They're winning games, and that's all they care about. This could be like the NFL are in the NFC East where if you're just barely above 500, you'll win the division.
You just have to be good enough.
Yeah. And I mean, like, this division, I don't think we're going to have a wild card team unless things really turn around, which I do not see happening for the Phillies at all. At least not anytime soon. Their offense is struggling. They scored 2 runs in the past. They've scored more runs tonight right now. They're up 4-3 right now. They've scored more runs right now than they have in the past 2 games they played combined. They lost the Rays went on a 15-1 run. I apologize. I messed that up. But they weren't playing well. The Rays completely blew them out of the water, which I don't think they were ready for. And the Rays are on a 15 and when they beat the Phillies, they were on a 15-1 run out of their 16 games. So we'll see what goes down there. I think the Phillies need to get healthy. I don't really see a future like for the rest of the season with how we're playing currently. But we have a series with the Nationals coming up. So that'll be interesting to go over on Monday when the series is over. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday after they finish the set with the Reds.
But speaking of the Nationals, Steven Strasburg in his return left after an inning and a third. He was feeling pain and was uncomfortable, so he's not going to be back.
Yeah, I think the injury bug is really hitting the Phillies awfully. And they haven't really had a break. So we will see how that turns out. Hopefully they pick it up within the next week. I'm not being too hopeful though. But they are up on Cincinnati 4-3. Maybe a couple wins here and there help boost them up a little bit with their really weak lineup. But I think that's all from me. Anything else from you?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it.
So you guys can go follow our Instagram at BLinTheDC. Send us an email at BLinTheDC@gmail.com. Send us DMs, send us emails, tell us what you want to hear, tell us what you want to see, and we will try to make it happen. We're also doing YouTube videos. Like we will come out with one in the next couple of days, and we'll also put it on our, depending on what it is, we might put it on our podcast too. But you can see all of our podcasts on our YouTube at Brotherly Love in the District. So you can go check that out too. And then you can always DM our personal Instagrams too at tkunik10, at jalvarez639. And I think with that, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. So we will see you guys next week.
See you.